Talk with Tyson Bryden. Come on for the ride. We'll take you inside. Non-stop rock talk. It's non-stop rock talk with Tyson Bryden. Come on for the ride. We'll take you inside.
Welcome to Nonstop Rock Talk. I'm your host, Tyson Bryden. Today, we welcome singer Robby Vegas. Robby, welcome. How's it going?
It's going well, man. A lot of stuff going on right now. So busy, but very good.
I mean, and you're speaking of being busy. You are a man of many talents. Before we discuss your latest release entitled Rock Show, you are also have had a successful wrestling career. And like myself, you host a podcast called All Bets Are Off with Robby Vegas.
Yeah, I kind of have a thing for being in the entertainment world, I guess. But podcast has been, I think, coming up on 7 years now. I could be wrong, but I think it's roughly around that area. And wrestling for 15 years and still actively wrestling. Took a few less bookings this year for some music stuff, but you know, it's trading one thing I love for the other, so I can't really complain, you know.
You know, it's funny. I told my stepdaughter that you were a wrestler, that I was interviewing a wrestler today. She is a huge wrestling fan. She's not here right now, and she was disappointed that she wasn't. She, like, when she was like 2 years old, she used to like walk around the house in like those like Mexican wrestling masks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like, you should see her when she's watching wrestling. She is like right into it. We took her to, like, I'm up in Oshawa, Ontario, which is 45 minutes from Toronto. So we took her to like an event last year, which was a local event.
Yeah.
And she was just like, she loved it. And she's 11 years old. So last year she would have been 10, but she is like this huge wrestling fan. But it comes and goes. She's like, as soon as she watches it on TV, she's like, she's addicted to it. And then she forgets about it. And then she goes back to it.
Well, actually, I wrestle in Canada quite a bit and not too far from your area quite a bit. I was just in London, Ontario a couple weekends ago, and I have a really big show coming up at the end of May at the Kitchener Auditorium.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be there May 23rd, and it's a huge show. You know, Rhino and Eric Young and, you know, Shannon Moore and a lot of guys that came from the WWE. And, you know, if you guys watch a lot of WWE in your house, you might have seen me doing segments and skits on TV with Kevin Owens or Rey Mysterio or Sami Zayn or, you know, the Bloodline or whoever I've done those with. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool. I'm going to mention that to her because we may be able to make it out to Kitchener, which would be awesome.
I've wrestled in Oshawa a few times actually, but it was years ago. I'm talking probably close to a decade ago. But yeah, the fans out there are great.
Yeah, they had, when was it, maybe it was the year before, they had like a ring set up downtown Oshawa. And it was like for some kind of festival during the fall. And she was just like, oh man, like she loved it. And like, it was so cool. So yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's even the wrestling event, it was down by Lake Ontario. So it was like right in it's called the Hayden Shore Pavilion. So it was packed though. It was great.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, I wrestle for Off the Rope Studios, which is, you know, Canadian-based promotion, and I'm probably wrestling in the Ontario area of Canada like 4 or 5 shows a year, give or take.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. We have to come out and see you. That would be amazing.
Absolutely.
That would be cool. Now, getting back to your podcast, you've interviewed artists like Dee Snider, Bruce Kulick, members of LA Guns and Victim and Vixen. But what also caught my attention about your podcast was you've had actors from films like Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge horror movie nerd, like huge. And you know, one of my best friends, Lauren Marie Taylor from Friday the 13th Part 2, she played Vicky, and recently she was in A Violent Nature and things like that. But I've had, you know, people on from the whole franchise of Friday the 13th, Part 2, Part 5, Part 6, Texas Chainsaw with Tony Hudson. even Russell Todd, who was in Chopping Mall. You know, I'm very big into the horror stuff, and that's like my three things have always been horror movies, wrestling, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
So the podcast is my way of being involved in all three at the same time.
That's has Kane Hodder, but what's his Kane? Is it, how do you pronounce Hodder?
Oh, Kane Hodder. I haven't had Kane Hodder on yet, but I have had the first Jason ever, Warrington Gillette, who played the first adult Jason in part 2. And I've had CJ Graham, who played Jason in part 6. So I've had a couple Jasons on, but I haven't gotten Kane yet.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
I mean, part 6 was the Alice Cooper one, right? The one where Alice Cooper,
Yes.
Teenage Frankenstein, well, they're driving in the motorhome, Teenage Frankenstein's playing, and it flips over, and he did this. I'm kind of admitting I too am a horror movie guy, so of a lot of the 80s stuff, and it's funny when I saw that in your bio that you had I'm like, you know what? It's so cool because a lot of the 80s bands went hand in hand with the horror movie thing, right? I mean,
For sure, yeah.
I mean, you've got Dokken doing Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Vinnie Vincent did Part 4, and Alice Cooper, and then the Trick or Treat movie, of course, with Fastway. And I mean, I could go on forever with that stuff. So
Yeah.
when I was really intrigued, I had to ask those questions about that stuff because I kind of had this feeling that, you know what, you were kind of like a horror movie guy. So
Yeah, like probably even too much sometimes. I mean, it's hard to get me to watch anything that's not like horror related or horror adjacent in some way. But yeah, definitely very big into it. One of my favorite interviews I did was with Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp. And she's such a sweetheart and such an icon in the horror movie industry. And that was really cool. And even when I interviewed Dee Snider, I had to ask him about Strangeland because it was one of my favorite horror movies.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. And of course, you know, he did the horror comedy series Holliston. And, you know, I got into that stuff with him because as much as I love Dee Snider, the musician, I love Dee Snider, the horror movie guy. So
I do as well. It's, you know what, it's funny. I am a musician myself. So I was on a plane coming, I think I was in Calgary, leaving the Calgary, Alberta airport. And my drummer buddy's like, you know what we got to watch? I'm like, what? He's like, let's watch Strangeland. So we watched it on the plane coming back to Toronto. So that's so funny that there's that music horror thing in there in that relation. So,
always.
So that was it's cool that you mentioned that. And it's been a long time since that was probably like 10 years ago. So I'm going to have to refresh myself with that. He was the killer though, right?
Yeah. It was a great movie. It really was. And you know, it was his movie and he just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, he was very he was really scary in that movie, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was.
That was that's cool. So he talked about that on your show? Did he
Yes.
talk? Yeah.
Yeah, I had to ask him about that and Holliston because when I, you know, being the horror nerd that I am, when I started subscribing to Shudder and I started watching Holliston, it's basically an Adam Green sitcom about, you know, this horror movie writer, and like, you know, one of the guys from Guar lives in his closet, and Dee Snider plays a wannabe rock star in a Van Halen cover band called Diver Down, and he's hysterical. I love it.
That is awesome. I just recently had Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys on about a month and a half ago, and he was telling me about his band Igniter. And now I can't remember the name of the horror film, and you would probably know it. He had done a ballad in relation to the serial killer in this movie, but I can't remember the name of the movie now.
You know what? I've talked to Jason about that, and now I also cannot remember the name of the movie.
I had never heard of it, so I looked it up, and I mean, you can easily get it on Prime, but I haven't watched it yet. And I was like, it was kind of a weird story about a kid who was killed by his father, and then he came back and like kind of haunted the house or the camp or whatever it was.
Yeah, the classic horror movie trope of the kid that comes back for revenge, much like Jason.
Like Jason, right? Exactly.
Or like Victor Crowley, if you're a Hatchet fan.
That's what it was. It was Hatchet.
There you go.
It was the Ballad of Victor Crowley. That's exactly what it was.
Yep. So all it takes is thinking about Friday the 13th and all the other movies come.
That's awesome. So I will also note that you have played VIP side stage for the likes of Kiss, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, and Judas Priest. I mean, those are four bands that, I mean, they kind of speak for themselves as legendary artists within the hard rock and heavy metal community. With that said, I'm curious about, you've kind of alluded to it, were those bands that you grew up listening to? Did you love all those type of bands or?
Yes, specifically out of the ones that you just named, Kiss is my favorite band of all time. I put Kiss and the Beatles on such a pedestal, and getting to do that for Kiss was pretty cool. And I grew up listening to, aside from Kiss being like top tier for me, I was an '80s hair metal guy, and I still am. So like Poison, Motley Crue, Winger, Warrant. Any of those bands in that vein were always Dangerous Toys, since we're talking about Jason.
Yeah.
I love those bands, and I've always loved those bands. So getting to do those things, and Alice Cooper and Motley is mind blowing. And Def Leppard, it was actually Kiss and Def Leppard together, which was really cool. I got to do that one time as well, and I can't get enough of that music and those bands. So even doing something where you're like adjacent to them, where it's like a side stage thing, it's still like a really cool, like monumental moment for somebody who grew up loving those bands. And then to stand there and watch them after is just like a mind blowing thing. And I met Tommy Thayer that day, and he was a really nice guy, great dude. And I've gotten to meet Tommy. I met Ace Frehley, and I'm just like still mind blown at how nice these guys are for how iconic they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What's your favorite era of Kiss?
So this is a double-edged sword, because I love the original four. I really do.
I do.
Like, so I don't want to like make people think like, oh, screw him, he's not a Kiss fan if he doesn't love that era. But I love Revenge. Like Kiss Revenge
too, man. It's so good.
Oh, it might be my favorite Kiss album, and by might be, I mean it definitely is. But I also, you can jump around with Kiss, because I can listen to Revenge and I love it, and it's my favorite, and it's such a heavy, awesome era of Kiss. But then I also love Dress to Kill, which is the original 70s era of Kiss. Yeah. But then if we jump into strictly the 80s era of Kiss, I really love Asylum. So there's, I got my favorites in each decade, it seems.
And I do as well. I think for me, Rock and Roll Over is my favorite 70s Kiss album.
Great record.
And then 80s is probably Creatures. But
Creatures.
But I also love, but I mean, that's still makeup Kiss, right? But it's a different lineup. But of the non-makeup Kiss, it's a toss-up between probably Crazy Nights and Revenge. And they couldn't be so different from each other, but they are. I think with Crazy Nights is, I remember when it came out and I went and bought it and like put it on my turntable for the first time. And sometimes I listen to some of the songs and I'm like, well, this is a little bit cheesy, but it's still Kiss, so I don't care. But yeah. And then the heaviness of Revenge and how Gene like kind of changed his look, and he was more the demon without the makeup on. In Unholy and Domino, and you just, there was this coolness that brought Gene kind of back before they put the makeup on.
I agree. I think too, a forgotten Kiss record that's just as heavy, if not heavier, is Carnival of Souls. Yeah. And nobody talks about it because it got kind of like quietly released after the reunion happened, because we had Kiss Unplugged, and then from Kiss Unplugged we get the reunion, and they talk about the reunion tour, and the original four put the makeup back on, and then they were kind of like, but we were also working on this with Eric Singer and Bruce Kulick, so there's that, but we're going to do Psycho Circus now. Yeah. So everybody kind of like brushed over Carnival, but it's a really good record.
Yeah, and the thing about that record is that, like you said, it kind of got brushed over. It's like it was put out, I think, a few years after it was actually finished, and then Psycho Circus came along, and everybody was. But the thing with Psycho Circus is all the stuff I've found out about Psycho Circus after the fact is it wasn't really all four members. It was just Gene and Paul and Tommy Thayer and Bruce Kulick, and Peter didn't play on it at all. And it's like that one's a tough one for me, just because it kind of like, you guys kind of duped me a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't realize that for years after that, the original four weren't actively working on every single song together. Obviously, we hear all four of their voices, and Ace had Into the Void, and Peter had a lead vocal with, I think it was called I Finally Found My Way to You or something like that. But I didn't realize how little they had to do with everything else. And it was a little bit disappointing as a Kiss fan because you get so excited that the core four were back, you know?
Yeah, and you know, Bruce Fairbairn did that. And I was kind of hoping it was going to be more of a like 70s sounding Kiss makeup album where it sounded more modern than it sounded like Kiss in whatever year that was, 1997 or whatever it was.
Yeah, 98, yeah.
98. So, I mean, I loved the track Cycle Circus. I thought it was so cool. It was a great single to open with, and it was kind of, it was very Kiss, right?
Yeah, very 90s music video too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I could talk about Kiss forever because, like yourself, I'm a big Kiss fan. I'm a big Motley fan as well. I mean, when I was like, we're talking 83, 84, it was Kiss and Motley Crue were the first two bands that I think it was the look, to be honest with you. You know, like Motley had that Shout at the Devil look, and then there was Kiss with the makeup, and that really caught my attention.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Motley fan myself, and always have been, and I agree with that. Like, especially those first couple of records, those guys just looked so cool. Like they looked like rock stars, and that's one of the things that drew me into rock and roll. And that's something that I still like about rock and roll is the look. And it's almost disheartening sometimes when you see bands that don't do it, that just look like just four dudes that are hanging out down the street in somebody's basement. You know, like I like the look of rock and roll. I like the attitude of rock and roll. And I think that it should be a package. You know what I mean? Like sing great, play great, but also like look like a rock star. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I mean, that's why the grunge era was so hard for me, because I'm like, these guys look like they just came off the street or whatever. They don't, you know, you're not bringing everything that comes with being a rock and roll band. But I mean, it had its good points, it has its bad points, but it is what it is. Now, this I found interesting as well. You were VIP side stage at Darien Lake, which I know very well, I've seen Motley there, I saw Poison, I seen Sammy Hagar there, and I've always loved that venue. And this was for a Triumph Vapor Wine show. How long ago was that?
That's actually coming up. That didn't happen yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for the reunion Triumph tour. I apologize for that. Cool. Right on.
Yeah. So that's going to be June 3rd, I believe is the date. And yeah, Triumph and April Wine. And I'm very excited about it. And I know Todd Kearns is going to be playing with them too. And he's so talented. And I'm just really looking forward to that show. But yeah, that's coming up June 3rd.
That's cool. And Phil X from Bon Jovi. And that's awesome. Are you from that area?
I'm from Buffalo. Okay. So, you know, I spend a lot of time elsewhere. I travel a lot. Yeah. But yeah, find my way back home eventually.
Right on. Oh, I get it. I mean, are you a sports fan at all? Like,
you know, not really. I know this is a crazy thing to say because I'm in Bills Buffalo and Sabres country and Bandits and, you know, all that stuff. But no, like the only thing that ever really appealed to me was wrestling. And, you know, growing up watching Shawn Michaels was the only I got to watch that. Everything else was sitting in front of a record player or a CD player and noodling around on a guitar and listening to Kiss and Motley and Poison.
No, that's cool. Did you ever go to the old Odd for a concert or a wrestling event or anything?
Both. I got to do both. I saw the Kiss reunion there, and I believe it was called Legends of Wrestling actually, and it was like who's who of like some of the greatest, you know, wrestling legends of the 70s and 80s, and of course mixed with, you know, the guys that were around at that time in the 90s. But I remember, you know, Macho Man and the Missing Link, and Buffalo's a huge town for wrestling anyways. Yeah. And they do the Ilio DiPaolo tribute and all that stuff, and you know, Lex Luger, Macho Man, like all that stuff. So I definitely got to see at least one show there, and my memory fails me, so I don't know when exactly it stopped, but I definitely saw a couple shows there. Yeah.
That's cool. I remember like driving through Buffalo, and the new arena was already built, and seeing it sitting there, and I was always like, that's so sad that the odd is sitting there empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they
I
finally
remember,
tore it down.
yeah, they were giving people like bricks from it, and people like were collecting the bricks from the old odd. I remember.
Really, and it's funny, as I was a kid, we used to get a lot of Buffalo TV. Like, we had Buffalo TV stations up
Mhm.
in Ontario, and like, we did not. They would play the Sabres games, and there was like
Mhm.
one commentator that everybody in school would talk about because they hated his voice.
That's funny. I if I heard it, I would probably be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
I don't think it was Ed Kilgore. I think it was somebody else. And then Commander Tom was always big up here too. We always got that on Sunday morning as well.
See, Buffalo was cool for sports, including wrestling, because we got stuff that like it hit us before, and it probably hit you guys too, because like ECW, for example, like a lot of people didn't get it because it was broadcasting from Philly and it wasn't national just yet. So like we knew about the Rob Van Dams and the Dawn Maries and the, such long before other people knew what ECW was. So we were kind of spoiled that way, and we felt like we were onto something before everybody else.
Really, I religiously watch Dark Side of the Ring, that series, and I love it. Like, it's so well done, and there's so many. I mean, there's a bunch of seasons and a bunch of episodes, but it gives you, like, there's so many wrestlers that are on there that you hear their stories, and you're like, some of them are really tragic and sad, and you're like, wow, man, like, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen every episode, but I've seen like a select few that I really made sure I wanted to check out, like the Montreal Screwjob and the Owen Hart one and stuff like that. Man, so well done. Just very good.
I mean, the one I really like, the Brutus Beefcake one. I thought that one was really good.
I haven't seen that one, but I've heard people say that it was good.
Yeah, it was really good. Because, I mean, wrestling's one of those mystical things. It's got a mystique to it because you don't really know. You see wrestlers wrestling and you don't know anything about them. And then to find out things that, the stuff that's really going on in their lives it's like, wow, that's.
Yeah. It's heavy. It's heavy stuff. The wrestling business is not easy. And it was, really difficult in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah. Yeah. And even when like you're on the big, you're on the road, like some of them said like 200-300 days a year you're on the road.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, and they did and have since lightened the load for even like WWE wrestlers and things like that. So I think that's a huge benefit to the mind and the body.
Oh, absolutely. Now let's discuss Rock Show.
Sure.
Now, this release is kind of in conjunction with the Monsters of Rock cruise, I believe, which will set sail on April 12th and goes till April 17th. Have you done the cruise previously?
I was on last year's cruise, but I did not perform. So this is my first time on the cruise actually performing, and I will be doing 3 sets. So we board on Sunday, and I'm playing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And just for a little fun thing, they do like a Family Feud type thing called Monster Feud. And I am team captain of one of the teams for Monster Feud. So we're going to have some fun.
Cool. And this is at the Social Nightclub on deck 6, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. For all three performances are all going to be in the Social Nightclub. So anybody who's attending, they pass out the schedules when you get there. Circle my name, try and catch one of those 3. I know it's tough because there's so many bands playing at all times and bands overlap, but that's why people play multiple times so that you could jump around and try and catch everybody.
Yeah, that's cool. I've never been on it, and I would love to. As like I looked at the lineup and I'm like, oh my God, Crazy Licks is on there, which is a Swedish band that I have every album. I love that band. And they're a newer band.
They're good.
And Heaven's Edge is on there, Dangerous Toys, which we Y&T, and of course the Killer Dwarfs are on there, which is, the Killer Dwarfs are actually started in Oshawa, which is,
oh wow,
yeah,
I did not know that.
They're Daryl, who's Daryl Dwarf, the drummer, is, I believe he was from here, and I would assume, and then Mike Hall, who played on Stand Tall, Dirty Weapons, and Big Deal, he lived here locally and used to play locally all the time years back.
Wow.
So the Dwarfs do play here on occasion, downtown Oshawa, usually once a year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I did not know that.
Have you ever seen them?
No, this will be my first time, and hopefully I do see them, because I know last year there was a few bands I wanted to see that I didn't get a chance to because there's so much going on. So I'm really going to try and see as many people as I can.
Yeah. Is there any bands on the lineup that you haven't seen that you're really excited to go and see?
Yeah, I definitely want to check out The Darkness, and I have to see at least some of Black Label Society, because those are two bands that I haven't seen. Most of the bands this year I have, but I'll be checking out those two for sure. I'll be checking out Cassidy Paris. She's obviously coming in from Australia, so that's a cool one. You don't want to miss that. And I think those are the three that I haven't seen that I'm going to make it a point to see, but I always, always, always have to see Night Ranger.
Yes, I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm a huge Night Ranger fan. I love Night Ranger. So
yeah, man, I saw them at Monsters on the Mountain in Gatlinburg, Tennessee 2 years ago. And then last year they were on the ship for just one performance, I believe. And I made sure to catch that performance for sure.
yeah, I was just talking to the Bad Marriage guys last week, and they were talking about the Mountain. They're going to be on that as well.
Yes, they are. Yeah. I was just with those guys last weekend. They were opening for Quarantine and Space Invader, the Ace Frehley tribute.
Yeah.
And I actually jumped up on stage with them, and we did Old School Stereo, and I did the backing vocals for it and stuff like that.
Cool,
and it was
man.
really, really fun. Yeah, we're label mates. We're on the same label. So, I was in Rome, New York, and I jumped up on stage with them and did that song. It was really cool. Those guys are some of my best friends.
Yeah. So Quarantine is a non-Kiss tribute, right? With the Ace. Is that how that non-makeup Kiss, I believe, was it?
Yeah. So, they do the non-makeup Kiss. They do slip in a couple of makeup songs towards the end, I believe, during the encore. They did, I want to say, Love Gun and maybe Detroit Rock City, if I remember correctly. But yeah, the rest is non-makeup Kiss. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And they were good, I take it.
Oh God, yeah, they were great. They were fantastic. I loved every second of it. I mean, the deep cuts that they did, like, Good Girl Gone Bad and Let's Put the X in Sex. I was like, yeah,
really?
It was great. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stuff Kiss
so-
doesn't play, which is cool.
Yeah, right.
You know
right,
what
exactly.
I mean? The one song that I love off Crazy Nights is No, No, No. And I would love to hear someone do that song.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. You would like a Quarantine show for sure. I highly recommend that.
Oh, that's good to know. So, I mean, you mentioned RFK. The singles on RFK, is this going to coincide with a full length release?
Yeah, so single drops Friday. I don't know when this is airing, but April 10th, the single will be available on all streaming services. And there is limited edition CD singles that you can get on the RFK website. There's a link to it on my website. Or if you're going to be on the Monsters Rock Cruise or at the Triumph show, I'm going to have them with me. So you could actually get them directly from me there as well. But I do have a complete album. Like, this is just the first song out of, the full length. There's two other singles out right now, Break Free and Nothing to Lose, that are both on that album as well. So you'll have the 3 singles, plus there will be 9 more songs on that record. So it's complete. It's ready to go. We're just going to do this push with the single. And then from there, we'll start, dropping hints and things like that for the date of the full record. But yeah, this is just the start of it.
Cool. Now, maybe, can you tell me, like, who's in, like, your band? Your band.
So the album is actually like a who's who of like rock stars. So like, just to focus on the song Rock Show, I have to give a huge, huge shout out to David Julian, who is, not just the producer, engineer, but a phenomenal guitar player and a phenomenal, writer, music writer, songwriter. And working with him on this album together is just, it's been amazing. And he's, great at what he does, and he brings out the best in me. And so on Rock Show, the guitars that you're hearing on that is David, and he's just fantastic at what he does. Now, the rest of the record, as far as the band goes, you're going to see Joey Casada, who is now playing with Twisted Sister, formerly of ZO2. Actually, I think they still do ZO2 shows too. So he's playing drums on some of the tracks. Roxy Petrucci from Vixen and Madam X is playing drums on some of the tracks. Maxine Petrucci is shredding a solo on one of the tracks. 2 of the tracks have Jimmy Bell from the Geezer Butler Band. Juliana Amaral from Band Inc. does a duet with me. Todd Beauvais from Bad Marriage is on 3 of the tracks. So I really put together like this little like super group almost. So depending on what song you're listening to, you're getting a different version of the band. And I'm really proud of it, and I can't wait for people to hear it.
Yeah. I love Jimmy Bell, by the way. Jimmy's a great guy.
Oh.
Such a great guy.
He's he's amazing. And what a guitar player, can we just say? Like, I
man.
know I'm talking about David a lot, but Jimmy too. Like, they're both like great players, and same for Maxine Petrucci. I mean, she's somebody that is so good, so talented, and flies under the radar a lot because, you know, people are like, oh yeah, Madam X, and then they don't hear about him for a while, and they almost forget. But she's right up there with
she's
the
a great
greatest of all
player,
time.
and she's a great player. I think people sometimes forget about Madam X too because they're like, oh, wasn't that the band Sebastian Bach was in?
Yeah, right. And they're playing on Saturday in Miami at the Magic City Casino for the Monsters Rock Cruise pre-party, and they're going to kill it. I know that they are. I mean, and again, that it's the sisters too.
Yeah.
Like, Maxine's so great, but Roxy's equally
she's a
so great.
Drummer. Killer drummer.
Yep.
I saw Vixen last year with this lineup that they have now at Niagara Falls Casino. And
I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, they were killer. With Slaughter and Great White, and
yes,
they were so good. And then my wife is like, I know who that bass player is because we're both big Richie Kotzen fans, and she's like, she spotted her right away. She's like, that's Richie Kotzen's wife, and I was like, oh, really? I was like, I didn't even know that as, you know, the music guy, and she's like, she knew exactly who it was. So, but they were fantastic. I seen Vixen at M3 probably 5-6 years ago, but it was not that lineup. So I was like, I wonder what it's going to be like. And they blew me away. They were phenomenal.
Yeah. Show Stealers, always great lineup, great band. And, you know, each one of them is so talented. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about Vixen, and they're going to just rock the pool stage on the Monsters Rock Cruise, and it's going to be amazing.
Right on. That's amazing. Now, I am curious about RFK. How did you become involved with, I mean, this is Ron Keel from Keel.
Yeah. So kind of shopping the record around when it was still, so me and David had finished, I want to say 5 songs. And just to see if we had any interest from labels, we started reaching out to, you know, all the rock labels that we could think of. And we sent, RFK was on that list. And Ron got back to me, and he was interested. He liked the songs. We had a Zoom meeting, and, you know, his thing was, I love this. Do you think you can give me 6 or 7 more songs and make it a full length record? So I went back to David Julian, who, by the way, I'm going to throw out this too, is one of the writers of Ace Frehley's 10,000 Volts. Yeah. And I said, do you think we could bump out some more? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we've actually been working on this record since May of 25. So, and we just recently finished it. So we put in a lot of hours and a lot of time and a lot of rewrites, but it was because Ron suggested, like, do some more songs and get back with me. So I sent everything to Ron, and we were kind of corresponding, going back and forth. Bad Marriage signed, really great friends of mine, like I mentioned. And that's when the cruise came along, and I went back to Ron and said, hey, I think we got something here. If we can, you know, release a single, what do you think? And he came back and was like, you know what, let's do it. So I signed, and we got the process going with Rock Show. And I'm super excited for people to hear Rock Show, you know, on Friday when it hits everything. I can't wait to hear like the feedback, because I really think,
by the way.
Thank you. I mean, we tried to write a rock and roll anthem. Like, this is my version of Rock and Roll All Night, Youth Gone Wild, Nothing But a Good Time. Like, this is for the love of rock and roll. That's what this song is about. How much we love rock and roll. We love it. The fans love it. It's important to all of us, and it means something. It's in our blood. And that's what I wrote that song about.
Oh, it's like I said, it's a great song, and hopefully lots of people will dig it and check out the album when it comes out too. You know what? Speaking of Ron and RFK, I think, like, right now, of all the bands that he has on that label, I love every single one of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's putting out quality bands, and he's signing really great bands. Like, I love the Bad Marriage, the new record, and
oh yeah,
and I loved that Cold Sweat album that came out last year, because I loved that band back in the day. So, and then his stuff. I believe Generation Landslide, I think has an album coming out too, which was the drummer from Cold Sweat. So he's really, I mean, everything he's putting out, I think is fantastic. And what I love about Ron is how excited he is about the artists signed to his label.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we debuted Rock Show on RFK Radio, and I did just a quick little interview with Ron before and after the song, and you could tell that he's excited about it. And I think him being excited about it gets the listeners more excited about it. Like if Ron's really jazzed about this tune, like it must be a rockin' tune, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that helps for sure.
Yeah. I think his word stands for a lot in the rock world. You know what I mean? Like people respect him and respect the work he's done over the years, and I love that he has a label. I mean I would never say I didn't, because he's keeping it alive, and he's signing quality music where a lot of other labels are not. I mean, there's other great labels out there, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of labels out there too, and there's a lot of music out there that I don't particularly enjoy. I'm an 80s, I'm a hard rock guy, and primarily that's what I kind of gravitate towards.
Yeah, I think for that style specifically, I like that people are out there trying to keep it alive, because it's not just good music, it's talented musicians, and it's a rock show. Like that's why I wrote Rock Show, because I was always so afraid that rock shows were going to disappear. And what I mean by that is, like, if you go see Cinderella or Motley Crue or Poison or any of those bands, you're not just getting good music, you're getting a fun time. You're getting a stage show. You're getting fireworks. You're getting guitar tricks. You're getting drummers that twirl their sticks and throw them in the air and do stick tricks. And like that stuff went away for a while. But on the grander scheme of things, not that long, because, you know, some of those bands were still pretty relevant up in, you know, close to the mid 90s. And by 2001, I was already going to Darien Lake to see the Glam Slam Metal Jam with Poison, Warrant, Quiet Riot, and Cinderella. I mean, it was less than a decade until people were like, "No, we want that again," you know. And now I think it's huge again. I mean, the stadium tour with Def Leppard, Motley, and Poison, and then they did it the following year with Alice Cooper. Like, people want that entertainment and that music and that good time.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. Because you're guaranteed to have a good time. That's what, there's nothing more than that. It's nothing. It's just like, we're going to rock out and we're going to have a good time and you're going to go home happy. Yep. I mean, and as we get older, the unfortunate thing is that guys are starting to be gone. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like, hopefully, I'm glad that there are young bands, especially over in Europe, and that are still keeping that music alive, because but North America doesn't, you know, our radio doesn't pick up on that stuff, unfortunately.
Right. There is bands flying that flag heavy duty, like Midnight City or like Shiraz Lane.
Shiraz Lane.
Oh, I love Midnight City too. Yeah. Just had Rob Wild on my show from Midnight City, actually. And what a great guy.
He's a great guy.
He's great. Yeah. And again, they played on the ship last year, and so did Cold Sweat, by the way. And these bands come here and they play this Monsters Rock Cruise, and it introduces people who are maybe going to see, you know, the Slaughters and the Lita Fords, and then they find the Cold Sweats and the Midnight Cities and the Shiraz Lane, and they're like, oh my God, there's more. And I think that's a great thing that the Monsters Rock Cruise brings over here. Like it's really amazing that they do that.
Yeah, I mean, Midnight City, I mean, their latest album is amazing, and I've had Rob on a few times because I love that band so much. I just got 3 of the vinyls from him. I got the latest one, and then they reissued the first 2. So I love that band. And Shiraz Lane, their new album is, I had those guys on back in the fall when that album came out, and they were awesome.
Good record.
Really good record.
Yeah, I met them on the cruise last year, actually. They were doing the meet and greet or whatever side by side with Vixen, and I was hanging with my good buddy Tommy London, and you know, as we do with the Vixen meet and greets, and
that's right.
and you know, those guys came over and, you know, introduced themselves, and they were just such great dudes, and their music is so good, and it's just cool to see that flag flying.
Yeah, and Temple Balls is another one that I like. I don't know if you're familiar. They're from Finland.
I'm not familiar with that one.
That they have a new album came out maybe a month ago, just over a month. Very much in that vein, same kind of, almost like Shiraz Lane, but a little bit different. Really cool. It's like their fourth album. They're on Frontiers as well.
Okay.
I mean, I did
Another good label.
another good label. Yeah, exactly. They're keeping that, that thing going as well, which is amazing. And then, I mean, it just seems like Finland has a lot of those bands because they're Finnish as well. They're Finnish as well. I mean, Shiraz Lane, Temple Balls, and then of the press stuff I get, there's a lot of Scandinavian music.
I'm not surprised by that whatsoever.
Yeah, and there's another band from Sweden called Andy and the Rockets, which their latest album was really good as well. So I just kind of gravitate towards that stuff. So when we talk about keeping all of this alive, and it's fantastic to me that younger guys have grasped onto it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And how could you not? You see these bands like White Lion, even like you watch, videos of them playing, when they were in their prime, and it's like, it's entertaining, it's good, it's fun, and you realize there was a whole decade that was just all of that. Yeah. And you just have this urge to bring it back.
Yeah, exactly. And Vito Bratta was such a great player. I actually saw Cinderella, White Lion, and Tangier in 1989 at the CNE. And, yeah. That's cool. It was a long, cold winter tour. And,
that's one of my favorite records.
Such a great record, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably talk about all these bands forever.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, because you always remember like where you were when you bought it, when you first listened to it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why it's coming back, because everybody's like, I'm on board with all of it.
Exactly. I just said that to a buddy of mine the other day. I was like, and I just said this on the show a couple of weeks ago too. I said, March 1991, I was like, I bought David Lee Roth, Great White, and Bullet Boys. So it was Freak Show, Hooked, and A Little Ain't Enough. And I said, I bought them all at the same time. And I was like, I remember that week of March break. We hung out, and this is what we listened to.
Yep. It's amazing how it could just transport you back. And now forever, when you listen to anything, it's going to take you right back to that day, that week, that moment. It's an instant time machine.
Yeah. Now, was there bands like that type of music in Buffalo? Because I seem to remember there was a band called Rock Candy that used to be from Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, Billy Sheehan had a band in Buffalo called Talus, and that was like the big one. But like later on, so when I first got into the music scene in Buffalo, we were doing much heavier music. So I've actually been performing live since I was 14. And
wow.
I broke in. I had my first gig ever when I was 13, and I started getting paid to play music at 14. And I went through a slew of different styles of music and bands to find the borderline 80s sound that I have now. And I shouldn't even say borderline, like it's 80s rock, like it is. Yeah. And I love that. But yeah, when we first got going, it was more so nu metal. So like we sounded like Godsmack, like we were, I was not the singer. I was just a guitar player. I was the lead guitar player back then. I can't even imagine doing that now. But yeah, we sounded like Godsmack and stuff like that. And I don't remember there being a lot of original 80s bands or 80s sounding bands. I remember, going to see guys, Hair Nation is what they're called now, but I think they were called like that 80s rock band back then. I saw them. Yeah, they're good.
It was in Buffalo with Pretty Boy Floyd, Enough's Enough. And I remember Russ Dwarf being there too that night. He was doing the whole commentary thing. Oh, Faster Pussycat as well.
I may have been at that show.
That's wild. Eh?
I may have been at that show, but yeah, like those guys were like kind of just doing the cover thing and still do, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't remember a lot of original 80s
Right.
sounding stuff in the scene at that time. Everything was like, these guys sound like Godsmack. These guys sound like Dope. These guys sound like Crazy Town. There a lot of new metal stuff was going on. And that's when I broke off and started doing the lead singing gig and, writing the songs more that 80s style, and kind of stuck with that ever since.
That's cool. I mentioned that Rock Candy band because I seem to remember, I think it was radio used to, like, one of our radio stations would say from Buffalo, this band called Rock Candy. And I was like, Rock Candy, that was Vince Neil's band when he was in, before he joined Motley Crue. How can there be another one? So
Yeah. I think there's been like 5 different Rock Candies.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Buffalo was known for, music wise, like the Goo Goo Dolls obviously were the biggest music to come out of here. But, Cannibal Corpse, if you're going the death metal route.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah. Cannibal Corpse is a Buffalo band. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. I did not know that.
Yeah. Wild.
Did you ever take trips up to House of Guitars in Rochester?
Yes. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there a couple times, man. I love that place, but I never have enough time. Like I really
never
feel
been
like I could. Oh God, you have to. You have to. I mean, just flipping through their records and their CDs and stuff takes an entire day. Like you might as well just stay the weekend.
Well, that's what I hear. I had Paul Liddell from Dangerous Toys. He's from Rochester. I didn't realize that. And he was wearing a House of Guitars t-shirt on when I was interviewing. And I was like, hey, wait a second. I was like, we used to get the commercials here of House of Guitars, and it'd show like all these floors of, but I just never made it there.
Yeah, it's really something, like just levels upon levels of everything you can imagine. And they did, I don't know if they still do, but they used to do a lot of signings there. I remember seeing like advertisements for like Lita Ford being there and stuff like that. So
wow, that's so cool. That's awesome. Well, Robby, I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, and it was great talking wrestling, horror movies, and 80s rock with you, man.
Yeah, same.
Hopefully we will get out to come to this Kitchener event. That would be amazing. But we'll watch out for you, and hopefully I'll get out to see you play live music-wise as well at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be announcing a lot more music shows, and always with the wrestling stuff. So,
okay, cool, man. Well, it was great to meet you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me, because this was a lot of fun, and I could have definitely gone on and on and on about Kiss and hair metal records. So I'm glad that you stopped me.
Oh, it's all good. Next time we can talk more.
For sure.
Okay, man. Have a good night. You take care.
You too. Thanks.
Okay.